Hello and welcome back to the Tech Blackboard. Today in this third part, we are going through 15 latest questions on DP203 along with many concepts on Azure Data Factory, Stream Analytics, Service Level Agreement and much more. These questions, answers and concepts will help you achieve DP203 certificate. And friends, if this video adds any value to your learning, please appreciate our work by pressing the like button, subscribing to the channel and press that bell icon to receive all the notifications. And friends, please do not miss to watch part 1 of this series as that will help you understand what is DP203, who should do it, exam details, how to schedule the exam and what is the price of this certification. Not only that, we also covered skills measured, question format, exam pattern and the best way to prepare for DP203. Then in the part 2, we covered our first set of 10 questions, so please do not miss on that as well. The link is available in the description box. To further help you in your offline studies, I will share a free PDF file with all the 25 questions we have covered so far. And for that, you have to tell me the correct answers for the question number 1, 8, 15 and 25. You will find all the answers in part 2 and part 3 of this series. So let's begin our part 3. So let's begin part 3 with question number 11. The question says that you need to output files from Azure Data Factory. Which file format should you use for each type of output? To answer, select the appropriate options in the answer area and you should note that each correct selection is worth 1 point. And here you can see you are given with two tables. The first one is columnar format. The second one is JSON with a timestamp. For each of the output, you have to tell the correct file format. Let me give you the answers first and then I will give you more details on each of the answer. So the answer for the first one is Paraquet and the answer for the second one is Avro. Looking at the details of Paraquet, so Paraquet stores data in columns. By their very nature, column-oriented data stores are optimized for read-heavy analytical workloads. On the other hand, Avro stores data in a row-based format. And row-based format databases are best for their write-heavy transactional workloads. An Avro schema is created using JSON format and they also support timestamps. Now let me also tell you what are all the different file formats that Azure Data Factory supports. So here comes the details on it. Azure Data Factory supports the following file formats. The first one is binary, then we have delimited text, Excel, JSON, ORC, Avro, Paraquet, which we just read, and then we also have XML. And if you are interested to read in detail on each of these file format, then this is the Microsoft documentation. And here you can see that we are given with each file format. If you're gonna click on each of them, you are loaded with all the details for that particular file format. I have shared the link for this documentation in the description box. Now let's check out our question number 12. The question says that working as a data engineer for a car sales company, you need to design an application that would accept market information as an input. Using the machine learning classification model, application will classify the input data into two categories. The first category is car models that sells more with buyers between 18 to 40 years. The second one is car models that sells more with the people above 40. What would you recommend to train the model? Your options are Power BI models. The second one is Text Analytics API. The third one is Computer Vision API. The fourth one is Apache Spark MLib. If you don't know, MLib means Machine Learning Library. The correct answer for this question is option D, Apache Spark MLib. Now let's move to question number 13. And before I read this question, friends, I hope you remember that in introduction part, I told you that there will be some questions that cannot be skipped. There will be at least 3 questions in a sequence where you must select yes or no. And now the 3 questions, question number 13, question number 14 and question number 15 are an example of those kind of questions. So let's read out the instruction. The instruction also clearly says that this question is a part of series of questions that presents the same scenario. Each question in this series contains a unique solution that might meet the stated goal. Some question sets might have more than one correct solution while the others might not have a correct solution. After you answer a question in this section, you will not be able to return to it. As a result, these questions will not appear in the review screen. I hope you understood what are the conditions that Microsoft imposes on these kind of questions. Now let's read the question itself. The question says that you are designing an Azure Stream Analytics solution that will analyze tweeted data. You need to count the tweets in each 10-second window. The solution must ensure that each tweet is counted only once. The solution given here is you use a session window that uses a timeout size of 10 seconds. Does this meet the goal? So basically you have to tell whether this is a correct solution or an incorrect one. And the correct answer for this question is no. I will tell you the correct answer in the subsequent questions. So now let's move to the question number 14, which is the connected question to question number 13. The question is exactly the same. However, this time the solution is little bit different. It says that you use a sliding window and you set the window size to 10 seconds. Does this meet the goal? The correct answer for this question is no again. So what is the correct solution? Let's find out in question number 15. And once again, the question is exactly the same. Let's read the solution. You use a tumbling window and you set the window size to 10 seconds. Does this meet the goal? And yes, this time this is a correct solution. Now let me take you to the Microsoft documentation where we will understand more what is tumbling window. So friends, this is the Microsoft documentation on tumbling window. And here you can read that tumbling windows are a series of fixed size, non-overlapping and contiguous time travels. The following diagram illustrates a stream with a series of events and how they are mapped into a 10-second tumbling window. So this is a very similar example to that what is given in the question as well. Here you can see that it is trying to tell the count of the tweets per time zone every 10 seconds. You can also observe the query format, how you can use tumbling window. And if you will scroll down a little bit more, you can see all the syntaxes related to the tumbling window. Not only that, you can also observe what are the different arguments that you can use with tumbling window. So friends, I hope you now understand what is tumbling window. I recommend that you also watch question number 1 of part 2, where I explained what is a hopping window. Both tumbling and hopping windows are related concepts. So a visit to question number 1 will strengthen your overall understanding on these windowing concept. And now that we are talking a lot of Twitter data, this is my Twitter handle now appearing on your screen. Let's move on with question number 16. Question says that what are the key components of Azure Data Factory? You have to select all the options that are applicable. The options given are database, connection string, pipelines, activities, datasets, linked services, data flows, and integration runtimes. The correct answer for this question is option C, D, E, F, G, and H. Now to validate our answer, this is the Microsoft documentation on Azure Data Factory. Here you can read more about Azure Data Factory. Keep scrolling, and this is a very good thing. This visual guide provides a detailed overview of the complete Data Factory architecture. So this is very interesting. Microsoft has explained the Data Factory architecture in a very comic strip way. So very interesting to read. Please go ahead and read this one. Keep scrolling a little bit more, and I want to show you the section, which is this one, which says top level concepts. Here you can read an Azure subscription might have one or more Data Factory instances. Azure Data Factory is composed of below key components: pipeline, activities, dataset, link services, data flows, and integration runtimes. So that validates our answer for question number 16. Now let's move on with question number 17. The question says that which of the following are valid trigger types for Azure Data Factory? You have to select all the options that are applicable. The options given are monthly trigger, schedule trigger, overlap trigger, tumbling window trigger, or event based trigger. The correct answer for this question is schedule trigger, option D, tumbling window trigger, and option E, event based trigger. You can refer the same documentation that we discussed in question number 16 to validate the answer of this question as well. For now, let's quickly jump to question number 18, which is a very interesting question. And the question says that you are designing an Azure Stream Analytics solution that receives instant messaging data from an Azure Event Hub. You need to ensure that the output from Stream Analytics job counts the number of messages per time zone every 15 seconds. How should you complete the Stream Analytics query? To answer, select the appropriate option in the answer area, and each correct selection is worth 1 point. And here you can see that you are given with one query with some missing parts, and you have to complete the query by choosing the right option for this from clause and this group by clause. I hope you remember that in question number 13, 14 and 15, we were given with the scenario and we were to just give the name of the windowing option. However, in this question, we are given with the query, and by looking at the query, we have to recognize the windowing option. Both questions are related. In both the questions, you must know the windowing option, not only the theoretical part, but also how to form the query for each windowing option. Now let's go to the Microsoft documentation and see what is the correct answer. But before that, let me just underline the keywords so that you can relate the query with the Microsoft documentation in a better way. The first keyword here is the message stream, and the second one here is group by time zone. So keep these two things in mind when we are going to the Microsoft documentation. So this is the Microsoft documentation giving the introduction to stream analytics windowing function. You can read a lot of details here, but this is the section where I want you to focus, which is this tumbling window. And this query is very similar to the query given in the question. We first have select time zone, then we have count star as count, and then we have this from clause which says Twitter stream, timestamp by created at, and the group by is time zone. So please pay attention. In the from clause, we have Twitter stream or any stream messages. And then in the group by, they are given us with time zone. And with that documentation in mind, let me reveal the correct answer. So the correct answer for the from clause is timestamp by, and the correct answer for the group by clause is tumbling window. So once again, friends, I'm repeating that not only you should know the windowing option, but you should also know how to formulate the query for each of the windowing option. Now let's move on with question number 19, which is a yes/no kind of question. The question says that duplicating customer content for redundancy and meeting service level agreement or SLA is Azure maintainability. And you have to tell whether it's a correct or an incorrect statement. The correct answer for this one is that this one is an incorrect statement. So let me also give you the correct version of this statement. And that is revealed in question number 20, which says that duplicating customer content for redundancy and beating service level agreements is Azure high availability. And yes, this is a correct statement. Now here comes question number 21. The question says that you have an Azure Synapse Analytics dedicated SQL pool that contains a table named contacts. Now this table contacts contains a column named phone. And now you need to ensure that the users in a specific role only can see the last 4 digits of a phone number when querying the phone column. What should you include in the solution? Your options are column encryption, dynamic data masking, a default value, table partition, or should you use row level security or RLS? And the correct answer for this question is option B, dynamic data masking. And you can read more on dynamic data masking on this Microsoft documentation. Just to give you a glimpse of it, dynamic data masking helps prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data by enabling customers to designate how much the sensitive data to reveal with minimal impact on application layer. Further ahead, you can see there are a lot of options given how you can use the masking function and what could be the different business case. So for example, you can use the masking logic to encrypt credit cards, email, random numbers, and much more. And that's the reason we have chosen dynamic data masking as the answer to question number 21. Moving ahead with question number 22, the question says a company has data lake which is accessible only via an Azure virtual network. You are building a SQL pool in Azure Synapse which will use data from the data lake and is also planned to load data to SQL pool every hour. Now you need to make sure that the SQL pool can load the data from data lake. Which of the following 2 actions should you perform? Your options are create a service principal, create a managed identity, or add an Azure Active Directory Federation service account, or should you configure managed identity as credentials for the data loading process? And the correct answer for this question is option B and option D. Now here comes question number 23. The question says that you have an Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 container. Data is ingested into the container and then transformed by a data integration application. The data is not modified after that. Users can read files in the container but cannot modify the files. Now you need to design a data archiving solution that meets the following requirement. The first requirement is new data is accessible frequently and must be available as quickly as possible. Then we have data that is older than 5 years is accessed infrequently but must be available within 1 second when requested. The third requirement is data that is older than 7 years is not accessed. After 7 years, the data must be persisted at the lowest cost possible. Then the last requirement is that the cost must be minimized while maintaining the required availability. So how should you manage the data? To answer, select the appropriate option in the answer area. So you have to give two answers. The first one is for the 5-year-old data and the second one you have to give the answer for 7-year-old data. And you can see the options given for both of them are same. The first option is delete the blob. Then we have move to hot storage. After that, we have move to cool storage, and then we have move to archive storage. And the correct answer for both 5-year and 7-year is now on the screen. For 5 years, we should move the data to the cool storage, and for the 7-year-old data, we should move the data to the archive storage. In case you want to know more on hot, cool and archive storage, do let me know in the comment section and I will surely help you understand this concept. Moving on with question number 24, we have as a data engineer, you need to suggest Stream Analytics data output format to make sure that the queries from the Databricks and Polybase against the files encounter with less errors. The solution should make sure that the files can be queried fast and the data type information is kept intact. What should you suggest? Your options are JSON, XML, Avro or Paraquet. And the correct answer for this question is option D, Paraquet. And friends, I gave you a lot of details on Avro and Paraquet in question number 11 of this part only. There I told you how these both formats store the actual information or data. Then I also told you the differences between them and where exactly should you use each one of them. So please visit question number 11 of part 3. Moving ahead, we have question number 25. And the question says, which role works with Azure Cognitive Services, Cognitive Searches and Bot Framework? Your options are a data engineer, a data scientist, or an AI engineer. And the correct answer for this question is option C, the AI engineer. So friends, those were the 15 exciting questions that we covered in part 3 today. In today's part, we learned a lot of concepts on file format in general and also different file format that are supported by Azure Data Factory. We also understood the key components of Azure Data Factory and what are the different triggering options in Azure Data Factory. Then we covered a couple of questions on windowing options as well and also touched upon dynamic data masking. So friends, please press that like button if you appreciate our work and do subscribe to the Tech Blackboard. Press that bell icon so that you are notified whenever our next video comes. I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning and thanks for watching.
If this video has added any value in your learning, a like and subscribe is highly appreciated. Share this video in your family and friends to spread and expand their learning. Your comments and feedback give me a chance to interact with you and I look forward for them. We will meet again in our next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning and thanks for watching.